right, another very special guest this week. Credentials speak for themselves. An assistant coach all over the place has taken a bunch of programs to really new heights, and now UAlbany too. Dwayne Killings, DK, the head coach of the UAlbany Great Danes. Coach, what's going on? It's been, we blinked our eyes, and now it's the end of summer. Now we're just a couple of weeks out from the season. How you been, and how's everything going so far?
Well, it's not a couple of weeks. We got a few more weeks than that, I hope. Tomorrow's the first day of practice, but yeah, doing well. Fall workouts have been going good. Summer weather's turning to fall, but we're excited because that obviously means the basketball season is nearing. Some really exciting things going on campus here as we get ready for season number 2 since we arrived here. We got a brand new arena getting rebuilt here in town, and we've got a really good team with a really good potential to do some really cool things.
All good stuff. All good stuff. Before we head into the Albany, we got to take a trip down memory lane and start at your times in Massachusetts. You were born in Amherst, right around the corner from us in Providence, but you walked on to UMass, played for Bruiser Flint, who now coaches with Coach Cal and Steve Lapis. Then you transferred to Hampton. What was it like on that walk-on grind, and how did you progress, being in those two different programs?
Yeah, you know what? It was a great journey, for me. A chance to walk on to a Division I basketball program is not easy. You learn a lot. I think I learned, a lot about myself. Bruiser Flint to this day he's a friend. He went from a coach to a friend, and he's a mentor. It means a lot to me. It was just, such a cool time in my life. I grew up there as a ball boy. Got a chance to, watch Markus Howard practice and play, and all these different, just great guys that did some really cool things in the town. And, I'm excited to bring our team to Amherst this year. We're going to play UMass Amherst later on in the season. We're actually coming to Providence, coming to town to come see the Friars too. So we got some big challenges ahead of us. But, I think every day when we walk in the gym, we're coaching our team, we all pull from our experiences. And a lot of it for me started right there in Amherst.
It's going to be a real fun time. We're going to catch you twice this year because we're both in Rhode Island, once at Providence and once at Bryant too.
Yeah.
Very good stuff. Rhode Island's a good state. Very happy to have you there.
Yeah,
that's good. Fun stuff. You went to the NBA afterwards, of course, special assistant, video coordinator. Then they were the Charlotte Bobcats, but that jumped from college to the NBA. How'd you find that? And what were some of those things you learned right off the bat?
I mean, it was the coolest time of my life. I was 22, 23 years old, hanging out with NBA basketball players, working. You learned a lot. I think you learned a lot about professionalism. You learned a lot about managing people. The NBA is a lot different than college, where you're managing men, that have all these different things going on inside their world. But, I thought it was great to be in the room when all these things were happening. And I thought that's where I really fell in love with just basketball and the game and the environment and building. Then I think here we're building a program. There you're building, at that time when we were the infancy of the organization, you're building an organization, from the ground up. There are a lot of similarities, but very different at the same time. But just a cool time. I mean, Charlotte, North Carolina is just an unbelievable town. I love that place. I got my 704 number. Got a chance to be, in the gym with guys like Emeka Okafor, went on to be Rookie of the Year in the NBA. Got a chance to be in a room with Michael Jordan. I mean, something you'll never forget, just the way the guy walked into the room. So really cool experience, the really early part of my career that, I was very fortunate to be a part of.
Was there ever a time that you were like, man, I can suit up with these guys? Like I can make a couple of buckets. Like how tempting was that to be around?
Not one day in my life did I think I would go out there and get a bucket against those guys. But, I'll tell you that the coolest thing about it when I was there is, I think we created like a family when I was there, the people that worked there. The group of men that were there, JV Bickerstaff's now the head coach of the Cavs, but, that group, you got guys that are in front office positions in the NBA. They're guys, running NCAA leagues, guys doing really high level leadership things. And I think it's just great people. And I think the biggest lesson was, just how to serve other people and how to be a part of something that was bigger than you, but that has carried its way through. Like we have a text over always checking in on each other. That was a special group and a special group of people. I probably could have played against them because, those guys were all out of shape and they weren't playing anymore. But the guys that would put on the uniform every game night now, I wasn't doing that.
Do you ever slip up and still call it the Bobcats, or have you transitioned? It's the Hornets?
I get screwed up because I don't know what I'm supposed to say. Like, I didn't work for the Hornets. I worked for the Bobcats, but nobody knows who that was at this point. So I try to give it as much context as I can. I should just say the Charlotte team. You know,
Yeah.
the
And then it
Washington
gets confusing. It gets confusing too, because like the Hornets were the Pelicans, but they're not the same organization. Yeah.
Next thing you know, nobody knew where you were. Like, were you in New Orleans? Were you in Las Vegas? What were you doing?
Yeah. I mean, you could, if you're saying the Hornets, then CP3 was a Hornet, so you kind of worked with CP3 because of Charlotte. It all ties in, I guess.
Yeah, he came to a draft workout when I was there, so I remember that.
There you go. I think that counts. I think it counts.
Yeah. So after the NBA, you obviously got some more experience at the college level. Quite a few different assistant coaching endeavors in your time. So you were a part of Boston University's last tournament run with Pat Chambers. Then you went to Temple, which made the tournament 3 out of the 5 seasons you were there. And then you were a part of elite program at UConn. How big of a lesson was those 3 different endeavors for you in your career? And what are some of the things that you learned from either a specific program, a coach, or just your time, doing the assistant coaching as overall?
Yeah, those 3 stops were obviously really important to me. I mean, ultimately, my last stop as an assistant was at Marquette, but at the BU with Pat Chambers, watching somebody trying to build a program from the ground up, it takes a lot of sacrifice. Learning how to treat people the right way is something that I think I just watched and learned being around Pat. Going to Temple is a time that, I'm forever indebted to Fran Dunphy. I thought I learned a lot about coaching, leadership, being a man. I got to Philly. I was young and single, and I left Philly, and I was married with a family. And I think a lot of the things that we're doing here are, in the wake and echoing of what we learned when I was at Temple working for Coach Dunphy. Just an amazing person. I love the Philadelphia culture. The basketball culture there is really strong. Learned a lot, from the people in that community. I mean, that's one of the strongest basketball communities in the country. And I think if you're accepted there, I think, that can help you in this business really, really well. And I take it as a compliment. People start to think I was from Philly. And I tell people all the time, that's a great compliment for people from Philadelphia, right? Doesn't happen a lot. And UConn, was interesting. I got a chance to work for Kevin Ollie. Obviously, he had won a national championship prior to my arrival. But things didn't go perfect when I was there, but you learn a lot, in those situations. I thought I grew a lot, in that time, and learned a lot about myself. And I was super glad to be there. Kevin Freeman's a guy I worked with, that experience, him and Dave Sevish, who works now for the Knicks, 2 of my closest friends, just because we banded together trying to figure it out. Didn't go right, but we helped each other kind of figure out the next step in their careers. And, we're always got each other's back ever since.
And then a couple of years later, right, Steve Wojciechowski calls you up and says, "Hey, I want you to be my number 2 guy at Marquette," basically. And first of all, Markus Howard, you look at him, he's got to be one of the best guys you've recruited at the college level these past couple of years. Watching him from afar was just so special. What was that like to mentor him and to find him and to cultivate him as a potential professional basketball player?
Yeah, I think the coolest moment in our relationship was being at his wedding this summer. It's just, it's pretty cool to watch kids grow up, and have all these different milestones. But, coaching Markus, I thought he was one of the best conditioned athletes I'd ever seen. The kid, he could score at such a high level. People don't understand the kind of energy he exerted on game night. Getting 25, 30 shots, that's hard to do. And to do it at the pace that he does that. But you know what? He always watched what he ate. He was on the treadmill. He was shooting baskets. He was one of the last guys to leave the gym. You get it back in the morning. He's the first guy in there. He had a special way about himself. And, we talk about it here in Albany. Do you love basketball? Do you like basketball? Do you live it? I think Markus lived it at a really high level. Didn't party a lot. Wasn't drinking, wasn't doing any of that kind of stuff. And the reward for him was hearing his name, being a guy that goes into an NBA basketball game in a meaningful moment, making baskets on TNT. There's nothing. That's a storybook, ending to his college basketball career, going into his professional career. And I think that's been the reward for him for all the sacrifice that he made. And he's a special kid. And, Marquette's a special place. I love working there. I mean, it's unbelievable people. Work with two guys that went on to be head coaches. Stan Johnson's at Loyola Marymount, and Brett Nelson's at Holy Cross. We worked together. We pushed each other. Sometimes we fought and argued, but it made each other better. And we have a really special relationship to this day because I think part of what we learned is to think differently, and I think we've been better coaches and better leaders for it.
Now, you worked with a wide array of different coaches, in all of these assistant spots, but is there anybody in particular, a mentor, another coach that you emulated your craft, learned something, got some type of advice from that you didn't specifically work under?
Yeah, I definitely working under Coach Wojciechowski. His competitive spirit is something that I definitely pulled from him. That connected the dots on a lot of days, very similar to the way Fran Dunphy did. Guys I didn't work with per se. Matt Langle's a guy I've learned a lot from. He coached at Colgate. We worked together briefly at Temple University. Kamani Young, who's assistant head coach at UConn, and Kyle Neptune, two of my closest friends in the business. And we talk every day, share ideas, talk through challenges. And I think, again, they're good men. They're very professional. They're really serious about what they do for a living and the opportunities that they have. And, we have a really special circle, and there's a few other guys that are in it, and we try to help each other, protect each other, help each other connect the dots. And it's been really cool to see everybody have their own, careers blossom. Because when we all started out, we were sometimes, trying to figure out who's going to pay the bar tab because we didn't have much going on. But, we've all grown in the business, and it's been a lot of fun, a lot of fun. And it's really special when you see other people, have really special success, and you can be a part of that.
And talk about those guys. I mean, Neptune, how great of a gig is that for him this year? Like, did you guys in your group just geek out for him? I mean, that's got to be all time seeing one of your buddies come up and get that Big East head coaching gig.
Yeah, I mean, I thought he did an unbelievable job at Fordham this past year. And I remember I was sitting in my office and watching this press conference, and I could see, he was excited, he was anxious, he was a little bit nervous, and you're just rooting for him. I've actually told people, I said, Kyle Neptune is going to go to a Final Four, and it's going to be in the next 2 to 3 years. I think he's got that kind of ability, to lead people. I think, people feel better about themselves anytime they're around him. And I truly believe he's going to do something special there. And, again, you don't retweet other programs' stuff. That's kind of a cardinal sin in our business. But I would retweet any of this stuff because I want him to do so well. It's such an amazing opportunity for a really special guy, and I know he's working hard at it. He's going to do some really cool stuff while he's there.
Now it's your time, head coach of Albany. You are, tasked to inject some life into this team that has had a rough couple years, but you made some progress after year one. What was that like that first year walking in, trying to retool a program, rebuild it? And of course, what has the preparation been like heading into your second season?
Yeah, it's been fun. It's a dream come true to have an opportunity like this. We've tried to galvanize people, inside the community, inside the campus, get them to care about our program, care about our kids. Is it easy? No, but I love doing it. And you could slowly see all these special moments, come up. You walk in an event and you see people with Albany T-shirts and scarves and hats. And it's cool because it wasn't like that the year before. Or you see people that maybe never identify with the program. They care a little bit and they're buying tickets and they're doing some stuff. I think Coach Brown, really did some special things when he was here. The championships that he had really good players. Now, you know what? We're here and we're trying to push the program even further forward by getting more fan interest. We're redoing the arena here, which is really, really important. We're trying to build a new culture here, trying to upgrade our facilities, trying to, help out in the academic area, trying to help out in the training facilities area to make this what we hope is a gold standard in the league. And then as we grow our program, we're just trying to have great days of practice every week. And if we can do that, we'll be the best program we can be on game day.
You guys hit the portal pretty hard this offseason too. And one guy that stands out, obviously there's a few. There's Malik Edmead from Merrimack. There's a few other guys that you guys went out and got. But a guy that stands out for us is Daquan Davis. Last year had a great year at Arcadia Division III. Had over 23 points a game. What can he do for you guys, and how did you find him and sort of bring him into this program? And how far can he go this year with UAlbany?
Yeah, I think we learned last year with Matt Cerruti. We took a Division II basketball player, and people kind of scratched their head. Even me, I think I was like, "Wow, you finally become a head coach, and your first recruit is a Division II basketball player." But I loved him every day. He just worked, and he became an all-league player this past year. And honestly, one of the better shooters in our league. So he's a special kid to coach. Like, it gave us confidence about thinking outside the box, which led to Daquan. And Matt Griffin, who was on our staff last year, coached him at the high school level, believed in him. I believed in Matt, so then I believed in Daquan. So we brought him here, and he's been great. He's a scorer. He can really score. Really confident kid. I think he's learning the Division I game and making adjustments to it. But I think he'll have the same kind of success that Matt had, Matt Cerruti last year. And I think the one lesson out of all that is, hire really smart, good people, and they're going to make really smart, good decisions and let them do their best work. And, Matt did that, and the staff's doing that right now this year.
Right. So obviously you had that connection, but in terms of overall, recruiting and strategy, how does, a coach like you find out about a stud D2 or D3 player if that connection wasn't there? Like what is the scouting process at the lower level of college basketball to, find a player like Davis?
Yeah, I think you're always going to lean into the relationships that you have in this business. The same people that I talked to when I was at Marquette or Temple, where you kind of talking to them now, just about a different set of players. And, those same people, you trusted them to help you identify and get players. Then you do the same thing now. With Matt Cerruti, I remember getting a phone call from his high school coach, and I trusted him, have a long relationship with him. And then Matt coached against him as a high school coach, Matt Griffin did. And it was easy because we knew enough about him. And a lot of it is like, how competitive are they? The shooting translates, but what's his habits like? What kind of person is he? Is he a high character person? Once you start checking those boxes, you trust your eyes and you roll with it. I don't know that it's too much different. And there's just so much information out there now, whether you use analytics or you don't, but whether it's stats or film, or sometimes your phone rings. I mean, your phone rings now more as a coach than I think it ever did in the college space, because there's so many kids looking for a place to go to. Because the game has changed because of the portal, obviously COVID, the kids an extra year. So the opportunities have kind of shrunken on people. So people are really looking. And now I think the new thing is, schools are taking a chance on kids from the NIA level, Division III, Division II level, because what, they're a known commodity. What you're going to get. They're a little bit older. They have a couple years of eligibility, and people are taking chances in a much different way than I think we ever have in our business of recruiting.
So for your returning guys, who do you think has taken a step forward this year? And, what are some of the things that maybe your top tier guys that you've challenged them to do coming into the season?
Yeah, Gerald Drumgold, was our transfer from Pittsburgh. He's had a great, preseason, just being a leader, being an everyday guy, showing up, ready to go. Today I thought, this week will keep score of everything competitive. So his team has a 10-2 lead on the week. And he didn't make a basket in it, but he made every play he needs to give his team that kind of lead and make the right plays. It's been great. I think I really enjoyed watching his leadership grow. Aaron Reddish and Justin Neely, I think, have taken two big steps. Aaron, just his maturity has been great to see. Justin Neely last year was our rookie of the year inside of our league. He's got a ton of talent. We challenged him to work on his shooting, challenged him to work on his conditioning, his body, and he took the challenge and ran with it. He came back. I mean, he looks like a physical specimen right now, which is great to see. And I think he's really confident, shooting the ball a lot better than he did last year, which is great to see. I'm excited about those two guys to see what they're about to do next. And then I think the guys that we brought in, we gave them some goals to have this season, although they didn't play for us last year. Whether it was Malik and me talking about just bringing his speed and his versatility every single day, that was really, really important for us. Japan Kellogg, we told him to come in here with a swagger and a confidence when he gets out here and plays. Our transfer from Wisconsin Green Bay. So I think everybody's taking a jump now. Will they do it? When there's adversity, when things get really, really hard, that's what we're working towards. But I've been really happy with our effort to this point.
So 1-2 sentence line, however you want to portray it, because we know you got media day coming up and you got the coaches' answers that you're going to give, but what is the expectation for this Albany team? From right off the cup, what can we expect from the Danes this upcoming season?
Yeah, I think you can expect a lot of versatility from us. I think we'll be a little bit different. We'll transport the ball up the floor, with our 1, 2, 3, or even our 4. We're going to kind of be a little bit more point forward driven in some possessions. We feel really good about that. We're working at trying to become one of the best defensive teams in our league. And that's something that we're really focusing on, right now, just the habits, the intensity, the competitiveness. What I've said to myself, and I put that pressure on me, not the kids, but, we want to host a home game in the conference tournament. So that means you're in the top 4. That'll be a big step for us. Last year, we were really close to doing that. Even despite a bunch of injuries, we were knocking at the door. That's the goal this year. And we'll work towards that. I'm ready to rock and roll.
Good stuff. We'll be tuning in intently. We're big Bryant guys, so obviously a lot hinges on UAlbany's performance this year too. So
yeah. I think Jerry's done a great job. He's a good friend. I was actually watching some film with him the other day. I think the confidence that he's put into those kids, and there's a swagger about their program. It jumps off the screen, and it's really impressive to see. I think he's done a great job up there. He's a friend. We're going to compete against him 2 or 3 times this year, but excited to do it because you want to play against the best, and he's really raised the standard there at that program.
Yeah, for sure. America East basketball is going to be on point this year, that's for sure. Coach, before we let you go, also wanted to call attention to your coaches to action work as well at Marquette. Obviously, for those that don't know, working group of 21 minority assistant basketball coaches in the Big East challenges the conference member campuses to sustain their efforts and voices to address social injustice. Obviously, you're no longer an assistant coach. You're no longer the Big East, but this has been work that's really important to you. So, what sort of, how did that come about and how impactful was that for your career and your colleagues around you as well?
Yeah, it came about, myself, Kamani Young, Ivan Thomas from Providence, and Kyle Neptune, ironically, who was at Villanova at the time. It was, I thought, required work because I think we all wanted to step up and do something positive in the wake of what was going on in the world at that time. I thought for me personally, it said like, hey, with these opportunities, you have an amazing platform. With that, you got to do, I think you have to do what I would call required work, inside your community, with areas and with people that maybe get forgotten or just need a helping hand, or there's an issue that needs to get addressed, I should say. It's been great getting here off the motivation of what happened then. It's been great getting here, doing things in the community that, people say like, hey, we needed this. We needed to support somebody like you, meaning myself and our program, but then also having someone within a program and a leader in the community that's willing to, go into small areas inside town that need some help, that need to be celebrated or maybe need some energy and maybe need some support. And we're trying the best that we can to make sure that, we can get out and lend a hand everywhere that's possible. And I think people say a lot that, we're everywhere. That makes me feel really excited. We have a job to do. That's to win games. But, if we can impact this community and make it better, I would say that job's just as important as, beating Bryant or beating Vermont and winning a championship. And, I can tell you that, 2 things that will happen is, one is that when we leave this area, it's going to be a better community because of the time and energy we put into it. And we're going to hold a trophy inside the air, and make sure that in this gap that we were champions in every part of that statement.
Awesome stuff. Incredible stuff, both on and off the court. So, Coach, we appreciate the time. Thank you so much. We'll be rooting for you, not when you play Bryant, but every other game in the American East, we'll be rooting for you. And, good luck this upcoming season. We'll catch up with you soon.
I appreciate you. I appreciate you a lot. And if anything we can ever do, come check us out. We'd love to get you converted over to Albany fans. So it takes one game. That's all it takes.